Well, yes, of course, he will say that the government is trying to distance itself as much as it can from this hot potato. However, whatever they said, there's another judicial process that goes on parallel, and the judge thinks that there's a serious doubt. He has serious doubts that there's something else going on, meaning some kind of intelligence operation. Early this week, I spoke with a member of the Argentine opposition, and he actually confirmed that what we witnessed, this Venezuelan and Iranian airplane was in fact a joint operation by the SEBIN, the Venezuelan intelligence services, with the Iranians, meaning the Revolutionary Guards.
And the warning came from the FBI and Paraguay working together. They were the ones who warned Argentina, and they mentioned an individual, Gholam Reza Ghasemi. They say he's a member of the Quds force. He was on that plane. What do we know about this individual?
He was the pilot, and he was in charge of the plane. And we know that he is, at the beginning, the report said that he had some ties with the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, but he doesn't just have ties. He's a former brigadier general in that force, meaning he has at least 20 years of experience in that field. And after 2009, he left the Revolutionary Guard and became a private pilot for the Iranian front companies that operate in Syria, sending arms shipments to that place.
So we can assume he wasn't in Argentina to do some sightseeing?
Yeah, neither for the meat and the tourism.
What does this tell us, though, about the reach that Iran has in Latin America? Because we saw just last week, of course, Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela, visiting the Iranians in Tehran. This kind of sheds a bit more light on that relationship, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course. Actually, Venezuela is Iran's key ally in that region. Today, who's the vice president of Argentina, Cristina Fernández de Kirchner, she signed a memorandum of understanding in 2013 with Iran. So we're seeing how consistently and slowly Iran is keeping their tentacles in that region. Now we have a victory also in Colombia from the left political spectrum, Gustavo Petro, and there are some rumors that, or at least people believe that Iran could also try to get a hold in that area as well.
So might we say that certain countries in Latin America might now be very dangerous, not only for Israelis, but also members of the Jewish communities in those countries as well?
The Jewish community was extremely worried the last week because of this Iranian-Venezuelan airplane that arrived on June 6. They felt that also Israel hasn't made enough statement on the matter. Besides, however, of course, the latest statement that the embassy did the day before yesterday, but they kind of feel that Israel mainly is not doing enough to take this matter as serious as it is, taking into comparison, for example, what happened in Turkey during the last week.
Is that a fair criticism, do you think? Is Israel doing enough? Can Israel do any more when it comes to these countries?
In South America, Israel has a different policy. They keep all behind curtains. They operate from the shadows slowly without being public. And maybe what we witnessed during the last weeks is Israel tipping the local security and intelligence services with this knowledge about Iranians operating in the region. I'm pretty certain that it came from Israel or from the United States.
Okay, well, let's move on to another story, because a famous Argentine journalist has been warned that he might very well be a target for the Lebanese group Hezbollah.
Exactly. Speaking about Israel tipping foreign agencies, so we don't know for sure that it was Israel, but somehow the Argentine security services got a tip saying that this journalist, George Haya, which is a Lebanese-Argentine journalist and a Middle Eastern expert, Hezbollah was trying to threaten his life. And immediately when the local security services got notice of this, they sent a custody into his house, and he's now feeling okay. I spoke with him early today, but he didn't want to make any official statements during the sensible situation. However, he's okay, but it shows you again how serious this threat from Iran in South America is, and they basically operate in that region through the Hezbollah.
And this is a journalist with a lot of experience. Has he ever been the target of this kind of thing before? Is this quite a new experience for him?
He had received several threats during the last months, during the last year, because he's a very harsh critic of Hassan Nasrallah, the Secretary General of Hezbollah. George Haya, the journalist, he lived in Lebanon, and he believed that Hezbollah is basically destroying the country. On almost a weekly basis, he writes and reports about the situation in Lebanon, blaming basically Hezbollah for everything that's going on there with a lot of serious, and it's true. So I guess this comes really, this threat is very serious, and as we see, surprisingly, the Argentine security services took it seriously.
Wow, two very fascinating stories, Damian. Thank you so much for coming here and explaining that to us. Damian Pachter there.